Hello and welcome back. I'm Abby and I have a few updates for you this week. The first is that Self-Care Sunday is moving from a weekly segment to every 2 weeks. So I will be doing one segment at the beginning of the month for an energy or a card that's going to kind of be your invitation for the month, our guide, our anchor, something we can really sink our teeth into. And there will be a meditation for that. And then I'll also do another one 2 weeks later, and that will be sort of like the supporting actor, actress card that we can lean into and kind of deepen into more self-care. The second thing that I want to mention is that I'm using a different deck. So if you watched any of my prior videos, you will have noticed that I had a round deck of cards. And it recently came to my attention, unfortunately, that there was a lot of cultural misappropriation in that deck. My mentor, Lindsay Mack, she did a podcast on it a while ago that I missed. And due to what has come out about that deck, I've decided to no longer use it, which was a little bit devastating. However, it brought me to some other decks, and one of them I have become fast friends with, and it is the Spacious Tarot. So I'll put a link to that as well if anyone's interested in it. It is just a fantastic deck that uses a lot of nature and really gentle ways that are really sweet to the nervous system and beautiful imagery. And so I'm really excited to be sharing from this deck moving forward. So let's look at our card for the month of March. It is Explorer of Cups. So the Explorer of Cups, also known as the Knight of Cups, is an invitation into beauty, grace, and ease. And I have found that this card often comes up when things may not seem easy or beautiful or graceful. They might feel a little difficult, or it's just the stuff that we come up against every day that's sort of frustrating, or that daily stuff. It's not predicting that life is going to be hard. It's just medicine for those moments when it is. And it's really a way of changing how we show up to life. So it is not a Pollyanna approach where we're just like, everything's great, let's find the good and forget about the bad. That doesn't serve anyone, really, because we have to hold space for both. We have to hold space for reality, for what's here. So if grief is here, we have to acknowledge that. If disappointment is here, we have to acknowledge that. If jealousy is here, we have to hold space for that, because if we don't, we're not living in reality, and we're just pushing it down or creating a way for it to come back harder. And so in order for us to be with what's here, whatever that is, whether it's joy, whether it's heartache, whether it's celebration, one way to do that that's really a beautiful game changer is looking at, how can I find the beauty in this? How can I find grace in difficulty? And how can it be easier? And this is something that really guides my life, I will say, this ease element, because it's so easy to make life harder than it has to be. As a human, it just is, and that's exhausting. So I try to sort of lead my life by that principle of how can I find ease in this? How can I make it easier on myself and others? And in that ease, there's sort of like this pocket of grace that we can sort of slide into, that's more accessible when we touch into ease, I have found. And so there's this grace that we can give to ourselves, because we realize that we don't have to be perfect, that life isn't about being perfect, it's about being human, and that it revolves around making mistakes. And it also allows us to give grace to other people. So to be a little bit softer to those around us who may make mistakes or disappoint us, or who just aren't perfect because they're human. And it's such a beautiful quality to share with other people and to hold space in, because it gives other people permission to have more grace with themselves. So it's like we can model that behavior and it will be reflected back to us. The other kind of component of Explorer of Cups is being willing to go underneath the surface, the underneath, you know, if you look at this card, it's some kind of a fish in the sea. There's this explorer quality, there's this curiosity, there's this looking at. And so we're not just taking things at face value with that instant reaction that we're sort of like hardwired for. We're going below that, and we're moving into the desire to find beauty in something, because we can find beauty in anything. And even chaos, there can be beauty in chaos. So how can we be willing to hold both of what's here? You know, if there's something that isn't maybe pleasant, and there can also be beauty in that. You know, like I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh that said, no mud, no lotus. And so that's sort of like an analogy for life that we can look at and say, okay, like there may be some compost here, and what do I want to grow with it? Or, man, my heart's hurting today and I just saw this beautiful sunset. Or a friend just called and gave me the sweetest nod of acknowledgement or love, and that really warmed my heart. It's so easy as humans to have this negativity bias where we're looking for what's wrong in life, where we're looking to confirm our negativity. And that's not to judge anyone, because we're sort of hardwired that way. What it is an invitation to begin to change that, because if we can wake up and we can sort of like let this be our intention of like, how can I find beauty today? How can I experience more grace? Then we begin looking for it, and we begin kind of seeing it, and we see it reflected to us. We see it offered to us. We see it as an option, and it becomes easier to choose that, to see it, to feel it, to experience it, to embody it. And it's not something that's linear. You know, we talk about life as a spiral, or I do, and my teacher does. And sometimes that can be confusing to think of, because we're as a society, a culture, we're so linear. It's like point A, point B. You do this, you get success. You do this, you make money. You do this, you whatever. And life doesn't work that way. As much as I wish it did, it doesn't. You know, everything is a spiral in life. We can make progress with something and then be sidetracked. We can find the most beautiful inspiration, not when we're working, but when we're resting or playing. You know, it doesn't make sense, and yet it happens. So the same is true here for the spiral of life and of our experience with this energy. So it's not to say that you have to do this every single day in this way. It's an opportunity to engage with this energy however you want to, and to deepen your experience of it day to day. And some days you may not touch into it, and that's okay. And other days it may be really easy, and others it may be hard, and then there's reward. You know, everybody's going to have a different experience and journey with it, and it can be beautiful and meaningful and rewarding all the same. So I encourage you this month, the month of March, to look for beauty and to look at how you can make things easier, and how you can tap into ease. How can I experience ease? regardless of what's going on. Month is an opportunity. March is an opportunity to let things be easier. And so I encourage you to feel into that, maybe journal about it, ask questions about it, be curious, and see what unfolds for you. And I'll meet you back in 2 weeks. There's also a meditation, so if you see the link in the notes of this episode, you'll find that link to the meditation to go deeper into beauty, grace, and ease. And if you haven't signed up for my newsletter yet, I invite you to do that at abbybethcarter.com. You'll receive a beautiful self-love guide, and I'll also have an announcement this month about a new offering on grief that I'm really excited about and I know will serve. And then I will have many announcements in April for some exciting things for my birthday month. So stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing you again.